when I started the book, I mean, you'd be amused if you read the difference between the first and the second draft. So yes, I had a very good idea that my central characters would be my central characters, but let's just say there are an awful lot more of them in the first draft. So when I handed the first draft into my editor, it was, I think, almost twice the size it is now. And as she said, she literally counted, and she said, if this was a film, you would have 108 speaking parts, and no one in their right mind is going to read a book with 108 speaking parts. You've got to do something about this. So we literally, that's when we had the conversation of, okay, who is really carrying this story? And so we sort of threw a rope over 3 to 4 really central characters, and then we sort of cut away a lot of names around them. And that's what led us to the decisions that we took, which was basically that you know, if we focused on Mayor Maurice Ferré, we could sort of tell the political history of Miami and the history of what was the larger history of what's going on during a really vicious election year between Jimmy Carter and Ronald Reagan, because he was a personal friend of Jimmy Carter's. Then if we took a look at the captain of homicide that year, Marshall Frank, we could tell this crisscrossing story of where crime was going around the city, but we could also look at the corruption that was happening inside his department before he got there, and sort of, which is sort of the story of the beginning of the cocaine epidemic. And then we had a close look at Edna Buchanan, because Edna Buchanan was sort of on the cusp of all of these arenas, but she also broke the key story that year that leads to what the New York Times called the biggest race riot of the century. And then our sort of third and a half character was this guy called Isaac Kassim Katan, who was a Colombian money launderer. And you know, between these four, I thought I could really get a good grasp of what was shifting in the city that year. And yes, there are plenty of other characters who sort of come in and out in the sea that these guys are swimming in, but those are the ones who are hopefully have the emotional heft that can sort of pull you through the story. And I thought they also all sort of had arcs within that year. I mean, I sound like I'm a TV writer now, but I feel it's true. You do need to make people turn the pages. You need characters to do things. And guess what? These people were involved up to their necks in the events of 1980. So for me, in the end, they sort of chose themselves. But let's just say I needed a bit of a nudge from my editor.